So, as you guys know, I've really been digging into the psychology of this MAGA movement lately, and this research paper I thought was brilliant, and I wanted to break it down for you guys because this paper basically explores how the idea of the people who are left behind has been constructed in political and media discussions, particularly in Western countries like the UK and the US and France and Germany and Canada, and it examines how certain groups, often white working class people in post-industrial areas, are portrayed as victims of economic decline, cultural change, and political betrayal. So this research paper basically goes through 5 different key points, and I want to break them down for you guys. So number 1, it talks about crisis as a political tool. The paper argues that crises aren't just about real world problem, they're also created and used in political narratives in order to shape public perception, right? So this group of people that this paper calls, the left behind people, are often depicted as a group that's been ignored and disrespected and forced into resentment. So the second key point here is about categorizing who are these people that are quote unquote left behind, right? Authors and politicians discussing these people that are left behind often focus on cultural attitudes rather than actual economic struggles. They portray these groups as patriotic, traditional, and resistant to modern social changes. However, these portrayals, what they do is they actually strip these people who are left behind of real historical or personal agency, right? And it reduces them to a stereotype of grievance and resentment. So the third key point in this research paper is about the radicalization of these quote-unquote people that have been left behind, right? Because while discussions about these people often avoid explicitly mentioning race, they frequently frame white working class people as victims of immigration and diversity and progressive politics. And right-wing commentators all over social media claim that these white people are being denied the ability to stand up for themselves, which fuels this racial resentment that we're seeing everywhere in Western democracies right now. The fourth key point of this research paper, and I think the most important one, is who benefits from this narrative. And the paper points out that conservative politicians, right-wing think tanks, and culture war commentators use the idea of these people that are left behind in order to push their own agendas. They argue that liberal elites are to blame for working class struggles while ignoring the real causes, right? Like economic policies that favor the wealthy. Finally, the last key point that this paper makes is the implications that all of this has on policy and society. And the narrative of these left behind people influences public policy, leading to reactionary policies on immigration, education, and national identity. And instead of addressing real economic inequalities, we end up just focusing on cultural grievances, which just reinforce racial and societal divisions. So the main takeaway of this research paper is that this idea of these people who have been left behind by society isn't just about helping struggling people. It's a politically manufactured image that fuels resentment and justifies reactionary policies. So instead of focusing on economic justice and meaningful solutions, this narrative encourages division and radicalized victimhood. And for those of you that want to dive in a little bit deeper into this research paper, I'm going to post a link to it in the comments. So just search through the comments and you'll find the link for the full research paper there. Okay, thanks for sticking around this long.